Baby, because these people, they are crazy. Because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you, and the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in the divorce. I'm like, ooh, that's got to be true because your lawyer would know that they going to lose it if they...
Ladies and gentlemen, that works for riling people up, getting people angry about Trump, but this doesn't win elections. And we have to get to the point where being the ghetto mascot for the Democratic Party is not something that Black women agree to. This sort of rhetoric, this sort of behavior does not win elections. And unfortunately, Jasmine Crockett found that out the hard way. Yes, so many people were, Jasmine Crockett's amazing. She's so great. We call it you go girling, Jasmine Crockett. That means that people will egg you on in behaviors that they would never do for themselves because you are their mascot. Jasmine Crockett was the mascot of the Democratic Party. She was not a viable candidate. And it was because of things like this that caused her to lose this election. Now, it wasn't the accent, it was the fact that this was all she had. She had this fighting spirit, this audacious, sort of loud personality, and I'm going to fight Trump and I'm going to do all this. But she had no policies. She ran on vibes like Kamala did. And then she wanted to cry racism. This is what happens when you allow yourself to be used by a party. She thought she was a shoo-in. She thought, oh, they love me. I'm a Black woman. They're always constantly praising me for this behavior. And so surely they'll vote me in. And then the white women said, we wanted to vote someone who we thought would win. We wanted to vote someone who we thought would win. Translation, we needed a white male in the position or someone who was more composed than Jasmine Crockett. She's great for what she was doing down there, but she's not great for any higher level positions. And this is a danger and a lesson to everyone to not be a mascot, but to come with real substance. So in today's video, we are going to listen to quite a few reactions to Jasmine Crockett's loss in the primary and people who are not afraid to tell the truth. Because a lot of people wanted to cry racism and they wanted to, no. The truth is that Jasmine Crockett never presented herself as a serious individual. She presented herself as the wild hair, sort of not physical hair, but wild rabbit who is going to go around fighting and who be loud in your face, but at the end of the day is not going to pass any laws and is not going to get things done. She's just all bark and no bite. And again, that's great for riling people up to vote for the right candidate, which is, for them, James Talarico. So let's move on. I'm sorry, this next clip is very difficult for us to listen to, but just there's background noise. So please try and focus your ears on that.
A lot of Black politicians, especially Black women politicians, it's always Black girl magic. I'm a strong Black woman. Let's do the two-step. Let's talk about the greens and mac and cheese. And that's going to win, the Black voters. But other voters, no. So, in my opinion, she lost. It's unfortunate, but she also did not communicate policy. She communicated more so the strong Black woman message. Okay? We're in this time, just pay attention to Mondani. He won populations people didn't expect him to win because he clearly expressed policy. Also, another where these Black and moderate politicians are missing the mark is a lot of voters, progressive, leftist, conservative. If you want to stick up for that country and that country's lobby, you in danger.
And yes, because Jasmine Crockett took money from our greatest ally. They propped her up and she thought she was going to win. And people went and dug in her background and found out that she took money from our greatest ally. And they said no.
So, yeah, I think we just do them a disservice. Oh, it's just racism and misogyny and this and that. That may be true. But what's also true is that they don't really run very serious campaigns. it's more like a spectacle
Correct.
versus a political campaign. So maybe they should undergo some political training and a little more radicalizing, or the same thing is going to keep happening. And we're going to keep circling back to racism and misogyny instead of accountability. But like I said, multiple truths can be true.
That's right. Yeah, sure. Some of that might have been racism, but the truth is that Jasmine Crockett did not present herself as someone with intellect, someone with a clear message, a clear vision. This was very similar to Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was like, Black women are going to save the country, and I'm a Black woman, and let me have Meg the Stallion come and twerk. And people were like, that doesn't, as fun as Kamala is, and as fun as Jasmine Crockett is, she is the epitome of, you're a great for our brand, but you can't be the spokesperson. You cannot be the spokesperson for our brand because we don't trust that you have the political savvy to actually succeed. Let's listen to another.
It's mostly about Jasmine Crockett's campaign was very much the first kind of fighting. It was mostly about how she takes on Donald Trump. It's mostly about how she's tough and the Republicans don't like her. And so she's going to kick the shit out of Trump and all that. And I think the risk of that kind of campaign is it also makes it about you and you beating Republicans and you beating Donald Trump. And what voters actually care about is what's going on in their lives and who's going to fight for them. And I think that what Talarico did was, when we heard that a little bit in that victory speech, is he talked about not just winning an election, but changing politics and upending the system. And it's still pretty, I mean, he talked a lot in his campaign about, like, even though he's very religious, he talked about, like, Jesus going into the temple and flipping over tables. And, like, he talked about, like, fighting rich and powerful interests, you know? And so I think that helped him. But I think, I just think that the view that we just have to say bad things about Donald Trump and Republicans, and like the more you do that and the tougher it is, the stronger you are and the better off you are, I just don't think it's borne out by actual elections.
That's right. People do not find that to be consistent with a winning policy. People do not find that to be something that indicates whether or not you're ready for success. The tides are turning, and here's why: because we saw that MAGA won in 2024, which means that more people, the anti-Trump sentiment is not something that works anymore. That's sort of how Kamala tried to run her campaign, and it didn't work. People are now beyond MAGA. They're over it. They're over MAGA. They're over Trump. They care about policy. They care about what people are doing for them and who's going to vote for them, and not focus so much on government. She just is an unqualified candidate.
All right, we're going to spend a little time here because I feel like we really fucking have to. This cause we black shit, that shit gotta stop. And I want y'all to see that the world does not care. I've been saying for quite some time that geopolitically, we have to change with the times. People don't really give a fuck about our slavery and racism and Jim Crow. You see, they trying to distort that anyway. And we've allowed them to distort that because we have allowed it to be exploited by the liberal party, I'm just being honest, and incorporated into all this other shit, making identity politics useless for black folk. I'm just being honest. There was a time we really did need the laws and legislation to go our way. We're not going to deny that. And we need to not let others deny that. They don't have to like it. We need to know that. Jim Crow is a real thing. That happened. Slavery, all that shit was a real thing. These things have been legislated through time because it was fucked up and it happened to us. But it was a time for that. This shit ain't about black and white no more. This shit about money and donors. That's what it's about. And it's about what are you actually going to do? People, the common man cares about what are you going to do? I'm a truck driver. I drive all around the country. It's some poor whites out there. There's homogenous communities of white folks that's poor. They need some fucking money.
And they're in Texas. And they're also going, how is this yeah, we hate Trump because he's a rich and wealthy, but they're like, how is this woman with all her ratchetry and hood rattery going to fight for us? I'm not hearing her say anything except for I hate Trump. And I want to know what you're going to do for me. What are you going to do for me in my rural community on my farms? We're destitute out here, and you're talking about you hate Trump. So do we, but what are you going to do about it?
They working in Walmart and shit like that just the way you are in your inner city. So you can't out struggle somebody. That shit's not working. You can't say you got it worse than somebody else when a lot of these communities, they're poor as fuck. You got poor Hispanics. I'm telling you, whole communities where it's other people that aren't black. Black people, the struggle license is not exclusive to you, and it's not just because you're black. Have black people been mistreated? Yes, we know that. We fought for that. We have. But we have stopped ascending because we have essentially let another group of people take that struggle and license it out to get votes. In this day and age, everyone is struggling. Everybody needs some type of elevation politically, and they're just looking for the common person.
And here's what maybe he'll get to this later, but the Black community is 13% of the population. Of course, Jasmine Crockett won in her district, but you want to talk about the entire state of Texas or just the nation, the United States, you cannot play a political campaign off of being Black because only 13% of the population is Black. You have to appeal to the American people. And Jasmine Crockett's antics do not appeal to the American people.
So as a Black American, this is why delineation is important. If you come out saying you're American, willing to help all Americans and do something that's not only going to benefit the common person that's poor and your people in the inner city, I think you have a better chance at getting votes and also getting other demographics to vote for you instead of just making it exclusively about Black people. No, that doesn't make you a coon. That doesn't make you any of that shit. That makes you smart. Because guess what? At 13% of the population, you're not gonna ever win anything with getting an exclusive Black vote. Jasmine didn't get a high portion of Latino vote. She not gonna get a lot of the white vote. That's just what it is. And also the portrayal, the sister girl shit. Y'all don't.
Here we go. This is the part that people don't like. All of that. So when you do this whole little mascotting thing where you're the hood rat, I'm relatable sister girl, people, you know what would be okay is if she was actually saying all that and then had policies to back it up and then was able to code switch into political attorney Jasmine Crockett. But she ran off a sister girl. Take a listen.
Like when they get brought up, that hurt her. How do we view Black people? What is the image of how we see Black people, especially Black women? Loud, cantankerous, difficult. Look at what she be doing online. Y'all don't see that as a problem, but obviously the demographic does. So guess what they're gonna do? They're not gonna vote for that shit. Not to mention, what the fuck was she running on besides these talking points? I want houses to be cheaper, and the border control. Man, those are talking points. You not coming out with a, hey, this is what I want to do for everyone. You're not coming out with that. And guess what? She lost. So this cause I'm Black shit, we've gotta get off of that.
And he's absolutely right. It was not just about her being Black. It was more about how she presented herself to the American people. And yes, it does matter because you represent the American people. You can call it, oh, they wanted her to be more white. No, they wanted her to act like the attorney that she is. Jasmine Crockett is an attorney. Is that how you conduct yourself in a courtroom? And he's not the only one. Take a listen.
Jasmine Crockett blaming the Republicans for her loss when they're not the ones who voted in this election. Democrats did. Democrats. The Democrats did not choose her, but she's blaming the Republicans. I can see if she was running against a Republican, then blame the Republicans for your loss, but the running opponent was also a Democrat alongside with her. Now, I'm not her biggest fan, because the truth is I'm not. I don't like how she represents black women. I don't like how she's constantly disrespecting the president of the United States. I wish that she would have focused on her district in Texas. I wish her sole focus would have been helping people in Texas instead of attacking the president, instead of becoming this famous social media political star. If she would have been like focused in her district and doing the work like she wanted to do in her district, in the beginning, that I believe, this is my honest opinion, I believe she could have gotten a chance. She would have gotten some votes in, a lot more votes than what she had. But the issue is with Ms. Jasmine Crockett, when you look at her policies, so I actually look on her website and I was looking at her policies were not great. She had nothing to protect the American citizens with. Most Democrats always talk about affordability, the same language that they always do in Dead Some and Under the Sun. But once they get elected in office, it's always the complete opposite of what they say they're going to do. And also, when she was congressional district in Texas, in South Dallas, I believe, Dallas, Texas, forgive me, the crime rate was through the roof and she did nothing about it. She did nothing about it. If she did her job, for her state, I believe she could have had a seat. She could have won this race. But the guy that she ran against, who I'm not a fan of at all, that Talarico guy who said that God is a non-binary, this guy won. These are the people that the Democrats voted for. They voted for a man who believes that God is a non-binary over her.
And that should tell you something. They thought this man, with all of his weird, backwards, demonic heresy that he believes, is better than Jasmine Crockett. That tells you something.
Now, as a conservative, I thought that was kind of crazy. But hopefully, this loss that she's experiencing right now will help her realize and see who the Democrats truly are. When she was promoting her campaign, like the commercials and everything, she mentioned how the left wing was darkening her skin. And she acknowledged how racist that is, coming from her own political party, and she was actually shocked about it. So I'm hoping, really hoping, that she will have a real awakening on who she is truly aligned with. And hopefully, she'll realize just because you're black, just because you have all this sass, you're not going to get your way. You're just not. And I don't mean this in no disrespect, but Jasmine has a really great background. She's come from wealth. She went to a great school and everything. She could have used that to her utmost advantage. But instead, she cosplay ghetto black girl.
That's right. The cosplaying of hood rattery will not and never will work. They will use you as a mascot. They will put you out in the front and say, rile people up, and people go, yeah, bump Trump. We don't want anything to do with him. Bump the Republicans. And then when it comes to voting, okay, now they used her. They played her like a fiddle. They propped up Talarico right underneath her and said he's going to be the candidate. Why? Because he's a white male with some dignity. Even in all his heresy and mocking of the gospel and the scriptures and twisting of it, they said, okay, thank you. We're done with you, Jasmine. Thank you so much. That's all you're good for. Public hood rattery. You gave black women a bad name and we are okay with it. We put you out in the forefront to give black women a bad name and we are okay with it. And now let's put in someone who we, quote, think can win. That's what all the white women were saying. We think they can win. And listen, I don't blame them. I am not a fan of Jasmine Crockett. I think her antics are a disservice to America and to black women. They're horrific, the way that she conducts herself.
And I'm from the hood, and to see a woman do that who's not from there, that's really insulting on many levels. But Anyway, Miss Crockett lost, and now that Talarico guy is now running. And
All right. So yet another woman voter, people just recognizing how this game actually works. Now, I want to share with you guys something crazy that Jasmine Crockett said. And I believe this kind of talk is what lost her the election. Take a listen.
I want to be clear that, like, law enforcement isn't to prevent crime.
Law enforcement isn't to prevent crime. Remember, her district had the highest crime rates. She says law enforcement isn't to prevent crime in Texas, where law and order reigns, where there is a large border and lots of activity on that border. Law enforcement shouldn't prevent crime. They're not there for preventing crime. This is the kind of hot foolery that came out of her mouth. And she thought she could say this and hide behind her mascot.
Law enforcement solves crime, okay? That is what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to solve crimes, not necessarily prevent them from happening, per se.
Let's play that again.
I want to be clear that, like, law enforcement isn't to prevent crime. Law enforcement solves crime, okay? That is what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to solve crimes, not necessarily prevent them from happening, per se.
And that, my friends, is why Jasmine Crockett lost. It wasn't because she was Black. It wasn't because, the Democrats are just so racist, which a lot of them are. It's because she didn't have a clear platform. She let herself become the ghetto mascot of the Democratic Party, and she is not taken seriously by anybody. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Keep your comments respectful, or I will delete them, and I will see you guys in the next one.